webinar. Thank you very much. On March 18th, as I was leaving office after sending the work from home email, I wished everyone a safe 2 weeks, and not knowing that these 2 weeks would become over 2 months. And what an absolute crazy 3 months this has been. I started getting anxious about a lot of things when lockdown first happened, about how things would pan out, about whether we would be getting our groceries on time, etc. But here I am, after 2.5 months, and I think I've become much stronger. I'm at least more composed. I don't know whether I'm getting lazy, but I think I'm more composed. Many of us are going through this. We are going through periods of maybe depression, maybe anxiety, loneliness during this lockdown. And I was thinking that if we are feeling this from the comfort of our own homes, what would it be like for COVID warriors, doctors and nurses, medical staff who are out there dealing with COVID patients day on and day out, in these overcrowded hospitals. Friends, today we have with us two very eminent guests. We have Dr. Iris Cardoz and our counselor Hina Beg, who've been in the thick of things. Hina is actually a counselor who has helped people with a lot of issues like these, with depression, with loneliness, anxiety, and stress. And Dr. Iris Cardoz is currently with Sion Hospital. Am I right, doctor? She's currently posted at Sion Hospital in the COVID ward dealing with COVID patients. And thank you both again for attending this webinar and, being a part of this, being a part of our MMI fraternity. Firstly, Dr. Cardoz, I'd like to thank you deeply for accepting our invite. And, what you're doing is nothing less than God's work in the hospitals. And we want to know, the reason that we've invited you here today is also because we want to gain strength from you. We want to understand how you do what you do, go to the COVID ward every day, meet with patients. What is it like for you as a doctor in the COVID ward in these times? So if you can throw some light on that so that our staff can gain some insight and maybe strength from what you're going through.
Thanks, Anita, for that introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Iris Cardoz Lobo. I'm a second-year plastic surgery resident at Sion Hospital. I've done my residency in general surgery as well from Sion only. So I've been in Sion for the past 5 to 6 years. And the situation that we're facing right now is something that I've never seen before. I'm sure it's the same for you all. So I've seen Sion from the beginning of this COVID time, and initially we had like just one ward allotted, specifically for COVID. We had our fever OPDs running as well. But soon with the exponential increase in the number of COVID patients coming in, we literally had to open up COVID dedicated wards every day. Every single day there was one ward opening up. Right now, we have around 370 beds dedicated only to COVID patients. Sion, as you know, is a hybrid hospital. So we're not only dealing with COVID patients, we're dealing with non-COVID patients as well. So with the increase in the demand and increase in the number of patients, we've pulled in all resources. So as super specialty surgical resident as well, we were allotted duties in these COVID wards. So we had to get out of our comfortable zone in the OT and go to the ward now. It's not only getting out of the comfortable zone, it's getting into an uncomfortable arena altogether. When you don that PPE, the duties are usually an 6 to 8 hour duty. So you cannot, once the PPE is done, you cannot drink or eat for those many hours. If you do that, if you put your mask down and eat, you're breaching the PPE, which is the whole point is just nullified. So you should not, and you cannot do that. So working in the sultry and summer, scorching heat of summer in Sion wards it's quite a task, I must say, in those PPs. But when there is a demand, it's our duty. It's a call of duty, and I'm more than happy to do it. If anything, it's so sometimes we have wards which are patients are stable, even though patients are on ventilators, patients are stable, and there isn't too much work to do. But at other times, there are patients. I've had times where 7 out of 10 diabetic patients had like really high sugar levels, and everyone was on a drip. 8 out of 10 patients on ventilators were really, very serious and had to be taken care of. So with only 2 residents in a ward, it's very difficult to manage everyone. Plus, in Sion, we have relatives who are in the ward as well. So stressful relatives, taking care, talking to those relatives, explaining things to them, counseling to them about the situation and about hygiene and about their patients. It's quite a task, but it is something that we have to do. It is something, uh, I think, if we as doctors uh, don't do, don't do this right now, then when will we ever serve patients? It is a call of duty. So it's been quite demanding, in the sense I stay close to the hospital. I stay at home with my husband and my sister. So I have had to take extra precautions. Like, I go and I change into my scrubs, then I go and change again, then I don the PPE. When I doff the PPE again, I change my, like, another set of scrubs, and then come again to my OT and then change into my clothes, like my civil clothes. So I've had to do all of that to make sure I'm safe, and to make sure my family is safe. And yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you, we've been looking at the news, we've been watching the news. Actually, for quite some time now, I've not been listening to the news, but in the initial days I was. And, I've seen a documentary where in KEM hospital, there are patients lying in the corridors. Is it as bad in Sion hospital too, and in any other government hospitals? Would you know?
This was the situation earlier, but as of now, we're not letting people stay in corridors. We're shifting patients to other uh, COVID care centers, CCCs as they're known as. So we're not keeping patients in the corridor or on the floor, which was earlier, which has always been the situation in Sion, because we've always had patients outnumbering the beds. But right now we're not, because we need patients. We're only keeping those many number of patients who we can accommodate on the beds. So as of now, we don't have patients on the floor or on the corridors. No, we're trying to maintain that.
And what about your PPE kits? I mean, do you all have sufficient kits, or is it like you'll have to, from what we've been hearing, there are insufficient PPE kits or even testing kits? So is that really, uh,
Uh,
is that really
Initially,
something
this
that?
was an issue in the beginning, in the beginning of April and end of March. This was an issue, but right now we don't have this. We're not facing this problem. Right now, we're having a lot of people who are coming and donating PPEs and donating masks and all of that to us. So right now, we're not donating food as well. We've had Tata give food for residents as well. So we're not facing that issue. So there's no dearth of PPE as of now. No, we have enough PPEs.
And, okay, fine. I just wanted to know what is your message to Messe München today? If you were to sum up what you have experienced in these last few days, uh, what would be your message to us? Stay
Stay
at home.
positive, stay home, stay positive. We're going to get out of this, but we cannot get out of it alone. We have to adhere by some rules and some norms. We cannot, even though this unlock thing has begun right now, we cannot go out and like chill. We have to maintain social distancing. We have to do that. There is no way out. There's the problem is that there are a lot of asymptomatic patients out there, asymptomatic positive people out there. So even though that person is asymptomatic, nothing is going to happen to him, but he might spread the virus to someone who has, say, an elderly patient at home or elderly person at home, or say a person with comorbidities, that is with diabetes or hypertension. If these people are affected, then they are going to suffer. So for your family, for, even though we are all young and healthy and we trust our immunity, we cannot always rely on it. Also, we have to do this for our families. So we have to maintain social distancing, always wear your masks, keep washing your hands, use a hand sanitizer, be careful of the things you touch, because it is a droplet infection. So yeah, you have, so just keep washing your hands, I think.
So this,
Yeah, and
yeah.
don't rely on all of these messages that are spread on WhatsApp. Most of them are just like, they're just myths. So don't read, like, if you need facts and figures, go on a WHO website or go to an ICMR website. Please do not believe the forwards that are sent on WhatsApp. They're really ridiculous at times. So don't do that.
They've been talking a lot of they've been talking about a lot of medicines like Ayurveda, etc., to boost immunity. How do you see these medicines as being effective against COVID? Recently, we've also, every building, at least uh, in Bombay or maybe in Maharashtra limits, was given the Albicum 30, some
Yeah.
homeopathic medicines which are being
Yeah.
distributed by the BMC. So how do you see this as, being able to curb a virus like corona?
No, so frankly, there aren't proven studies yet. There's no study that says something can prevent or cure you from corona. So all of these are only there. It's probably just a trial that's going on right now. Even hydroxychloroquine, for that matter, there are only studies that are happening. There's no cure that has been found yet. So everything is just on a trial basis. Frankly, I have not taken that homeopathic medication. I'm just eating healthy, sleeping well, drinking lots of fluids, and yeah, taking precautions, washing my hands and wearing a mask. That's all I'm doing.
When you come back from your duty, when you come home, do you take any precautions at home before you enter? I mean, before you enter your house?
I'm like a protocol, so I don't touch anything. I sanitize my phone at least 2 or 3 times, and I head straight to the bathroom. My clothes are washed separately, and yeah, I, I I take a bath as soon as I get home. I don't touch anything. I literally do not touch anything. Yeah.
If there are
Yeah.
questions that any of you would like to ask Dr. Iris at this point, please feel free. We'll pose your questions to her. So we have a lot of congratulatory messages, Dr. Cardoz. There's one from Ankit, who says a big round of applause to our COVID warriors. Rima says, Dr. Iris, you're doing an amazing and thankful job. Thank you so much for taking care of us in such a crisis. My CEO, Bhupinder, has also congratulated you. And thank you for the insights. Any precautions that must be followed outside or should be avoided for now? Do you
As
think
I
it is
said,
safe to start work, to safe to, get into a bus at this point? I know the government says you can do it, but do you think as a doctor, it's okay to?
You have to wear your masks on all the time, and you have to maintain social distance. There's nothing that can, if you're standing in the bus next to a person and that person has COVID and takes his mask down and touches his nose and touches you, then you can get infected. So if you're maintaining distance and if you're taking precautions, then it's okay. But I'd still say that uh, it's better to stay home for now. Yeah, we get to know the consequences of this unlock phase only in the next 1 or 2 weeks. So right now, what we're looking at right now is the consequence of the lockdown. You know, the number of patients and everything. It's the consequence of everyone staying home. Now, since everyone's out and people will get infected and everything, and you see the consequence only in a week or so, not immediately, not in a day or two, in a week or 10 days, 7 to 10 days. So yeah, we'll have to look at that, and then we'll have to take a call. Yeah,
So
but
we've got to.
frankly,
Yeah, sorry.
Bombay is bad. Bombay is bad. So because of our overcrowding and because of our population, it's not it's not contained right now. So it's better that we still stay home.
Okay. There are 2 or 3 questions which have come in. One is, how would you compare COVID-19 to SARS or MERS, MERS?
The thing is that right now it's a pandemic that has it's a pandemic, right? And I don't know in one sense are you
Is
is
it
the
is it
question.
different? Are the symptoms different?
No.
SARS.
So SARS is also this acute respiratory syndrome, and the same thing happens with COVID as well. The only thing is that it's only in severe cases that you see SARS. When you are affected or infected by COVID-19.
Hello? I think we have a problem. Mohsen?
Yes, Neeta.
I think she has a problem with her network, right?
Maybe yes, you'll have to reconnect.
Hello?
Sorry?
I think, yeah, she's back.
Sorry, Iris. I think there was a break because of the network issues.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
I'm saying that so around 80% of patients who are affected by COVID-19 are asymptomatic, but there's only like a few. The rest they get mild symptoms like fever, cough, and cold, and another smaller percentage gets severe respiratory distress. So these are the patients that require ventilators and require oxygen support, and yeah.
Do you think it's airborne in any way? Because there are people that are sitting at home who have probably no social contact, like, old people who probably have no social contact, and yet they get COVID. They develop symptoms of COVID. So how does this happen? There is a speculation that this may be to some extent airborne.
It is droplet infection. So it's a droplet infection. So only when, say, you cough and sneeze, those droplets, the infected droplets, if they touch a surface, or so it's not really airborne in the true sense, but yeah, say you're standing within a meter's distance from another patient and you sneeze, then that patient can get affected. It's like how you get a common cold. It's something like that.
But in these wards, in these
So if you sneeze on a surface and you touch, the virus remains on that surface for a while. So that's how it spreads. So these, like as you're saying, people getting affected, there are, as I said earlier, there are asymptomatic carriers. So there are asymptomatic people who are positive, who are young patients who have a good immunity, say, and then they're not showing symptoms. As I said, 80% are asymptomatic, but they are COVID positive. So if these guys come in contact with, say, older individuals or people with diabetes and hypertension, if these people get infected, then it's more likely that they will show the severe form of the disease as compared to the young guys.
and do you think it will get worse in the monsoons? You know, there have been reports. It's not related to the monsoons. And it's not related to the summers either, because they said in summer, we would see a decline in COVID cases, which isn't the case. Yeah.
No, it's not really related to the weather. Your body temperature remains the same, despite the climatic conditions. So it does not really depend on the weather. Yeah.
And one last question was, one second, there's so many questions suddenly. Okay. Can it be, how long does the virus stay on surfaces? How long does the virus stay on surfaces?
It really depends on the surface that you're talking about, but usually on plastic and board and all of that, around 2 to 3 days. That's why when you have an infected person at home, it's better to do surface cleaning all the time. Yeah.
Okay. One last question was, please throw light if this virus is actually transmitted from human beings to animals and vice versa, cats specifically. So we have a colleague of ours who has a number of cats, and she wants to know whether it can spread to animals.
I'm not going to be the best judge about that. I will have to talk to a microbiologist about it, frankly. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've answered all your all the questions that we've had, and we've had a lot of congratulatory messages coming in for you, Hema, from our offices. Thank you, Dr. Iris. Your efforts are really appreciative. Hats off. Could you spell that? I think we've touched upon. Bhola says, thank you, Iris. Okay, thank you, Doctor. We are now moving on to our next segment. Okay, and we'd like you to stay on, if you'd like to stay on and discuss our various things which are going on within the office and during the lockdown. Actually, I would like at this point to bring in a few colleagues of mine who actually have gone through a very tough time during this COVID crisis. And many of them reached out to me because I've been in HR, and they've reached out to me about what happened during the early days of lockdown and the kind of tensions and the kind of anxiety that they went through. To begin with my next session, I would like to talk about a little bit about my own experience. So it was one day at around 11:30 in the night, and I was moving towards the window to shut the window to put the AC on. And suddenly in the next building, I saw an ambulance, and I knew something was up. So I immediately took my camera and I started filming, because I wanted to see what happens you know, this thing about having mask on and having your hazmat uh, overalls, etc., was very new to us at that time when we were looking at doctors with all of that. So I went to the window and I started filming this, and I saw 2 COVID patients being taken from the next building into the ambulance. And I shouldn't have ever recorded that, because that night I did not sleep. And I did not sleep for various nights after that, because I kept thinking that COVID is outside my window. Okay. And when I spoke to Hina Beg yesterday, and I spoke to her and I told her, you know, I did this. And she said, ye aa bail mujhe maar kind of syndrome. So I was, yeah, actually what I did, I think I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have actually, you know, filmed that entire scene, but it played on my mind. So anyway, there are a lot of anxieties like this, and there are a lot of people who are going through a lot of stuff during the lockdown. And I want them to come up and share their experiences. I've got at least 2 people who want to share their experiences with us. Mohsin, if you can unmute at this point, if you can unmute Rovina.
Sure.
Can you unmute Rovina?
Yeah, I will just do that.
Rovina,
Just
are
a
you
minute.
there?
Just a minute. Yes, we have Rovina online.
Okay. Hi, Rovina.
Hi, Anita.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good.
Okay, so good to know you're good, because in the early days of lockdown, I know you wanted to get back to work. And you were totally wanting to get back to work. Can you tell us a little about the experience you faced in the first phase of the lockdown?
So, as the lockdown started, actually, I have my parents are quite elderly, and my mom had a fall, and we tried admitting her. So, she sprained her leg, and she's a heart patient and high diabetes. We tried admitting her in, so I stay in Bandra, so I tried in Holy Family, Leelavati. We went to Santa Cruz, we went around hospitals, but all the hospitals were full of COVID patients, and no one was admitting her because they were like, if you admit her, she won't survive. And we didn't have any nurses, so it was a task between my elder sister and me to take care of her and run. You know, we have kids of our own who are young, and to run to the hospital. And little later, my dad, who has cancer, he's also on bed. So it's a real task between both the parents being on bed and office work and the full thing. But it was so difficult because no doctors would come and attend, even if we knew that the doctors were there, like our family doctors and around, but no one would come to even check them, or tell us what the at least give us a diagnostics what is happening. We could not even get a nurse to to change mom or to tell us at least something. It was so difficult. The 2 months, we were literally, my sister and me were crying at times, how should we pull through this, like, but we managed anyhow. For the last 2 months we managed things, but yeah, it's been difficult. Like, no one comes, just no one came, so it's been difficult.
So I just wanted to understand, Rovina, so now how is the situation at home?
So we managed to get a nurse now to take care of mom, but we're still managing, both of them on bed, so we're still managing. But at least at the moment we have a nurse to at least take care of her. Then and she just came past 15 days, so we got someone to at least take care of mom. But otherwise, it's been like difficult with no medicines. I mean, you're not getting the tablets also. We had to go to town, take special permission from the police station, get a government employee. Luckily my hubby knows some government employee, take their card, take them along, go to town, buy the medicines, because even the medicines are not available. I mean, and chemists are open only 2 hours a day, so it becomes very difficult.
Yeah, it does. Hina already says you are brave, take care. yes, Hina, we are coming to you. Before that, we have another colleague of mine who would like to speak. Mohsin, can you unlock Natasha?
Sure.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi, Anita. Good
Hi. How are you?
morning. I'm good. I'm doing
Now you're good. Okay. Can you tell us a little about your experience, Natasha? I know that you've reached out a couple of times to me during the crisis and you were staying opposite a quarantine center. So can you tell me a little about your experience and what you're feeling right now?
So the initial days of the lockdown were pretty good. I was very disciplined. My husband and I, we went for walks, we worked out. To be honest, I quite enjoyed the initial days. But things started going downhill when we got to know quarantine COVID center was
Yeah.
to open like next building.
Okay.
My society members started panicking, and we weren't allowed to go down. The watchman used to question us. We definitely the walk stopped, everything stopped, and I started experiencing restlessness, especially when the cops started showing up. Uh, so the thing is, while growing up, like most of us, I always associated cops with trouble, and there were like jeeps just parked outside my building, and I just started panicking for no reason. The restlessness peaked and was now coupled with a sense of doom when a series of ambulances started like frequenting the streets. I remember the early days. I used to sit by the window and just even work from there, and I just wanted to know, like I had to know what was going on. And so generally, the pedestrians and unauthorized vehicles are not allowed near the gate. But once my husband and I, we cooked dinner for the cops, and we walked over to the gate. And I really shouldn't have, because that day I just stood by the building and I saw the building. The building has huge windows, okay, and the patients were just standing outside the window and staring, and some were like just walking. It looked like a cage. It looked like a prison. And since that day, things just started spiraling downwards, and I couldn't sleep. I used to cry every time I saw an ambulance. I was crying. Every time I saw the news, I was crying. So I stopped reading the news. But things weren't getting better. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of spiritual intervention.
Yeah,
Uh,
it does.
yeah, to I'm not completely fine, to be honest. I
Still
really,
a long way to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
still a long way to go, but I'm better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I know of another colleague of ours who has actually lost one of his friends uh, to uh, to COVID, and he had written to me that he's lost one of his friends or his neighbors, I think, to COVID. I also know of my own colleague in my department, Rishali, who has about 4 cases in her building at this point, and they have completely locked down. So there's a lot of restlessness and a lot of anxiety, you know. And this is especially true of maybe our women staff more than our male colleagues. Because women tend to emote, at least. So I know that a lot of them are facing these issues. So what do you suggest for us? Hello, Hina, your mic is, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Anita, and everyone else. And Natasha, you've really done well in handling the situation till now. And keep it up. That's what I'll say. See, since we are in the lockdown time right now, and this is a unique situation for all of us, not knowing as to where and how it's going to end up in the coming year, months, like, and then following years, we are still in a very naive position. And so what I have done is I have actually, made notes so that you all can take some positivity and know how to identify your own self in a better way. There is a plethora of information online. If you want to type stress, you will end up getting stressed by Googling up whatever symptoms you try to, search for in these times. And since the lockdown time is there and we are confined in our own space, there is a restriction of the space, the movement that we are dealing with, and the work scenario has completely changed. The profile of working, the nature, the face-to-face interaction, that all has changed, and it is, actually weighing on people slowly, but yes, for sure it is. So you have to identify your own self. I have done, like, I have made 4 pillars, as I had shared with Anita also yesterday, the backdrop of this conversation, so that it is constructive and you actually take on something useful for yourself. As we progress in the session, there will be something that you can relate to. And in the end, you can always ask the question. I'll deal with that towards the end. Okay. So the 4 pillars that I have, categorized into is your behavioral changes and the physical ones, the emotional and the psychological. Now, these are specifically confined to this lockdown time. If you have symptoms from before, then that is something else. I'll just do the tip of the iceberg thing, wherein I'll tell you how you are going to identify if it's like, in the behavioral range, or if it's in the physical range, or emotionally if it is going to affect you, and how it's like interconnected, since we are humans. We are not robots. Like, if you're feeling something and we can't replace it and have something, more comfortable for ourselves. So we will be dealing with situations, and the fact that you all are here right now deserves an applaud for yourself. You can pat your back, because you all are really working very, very in a matured way. Let's say that to the youngsters and to the people who are young adults, so called. And I'll be touching on behavioral thing first. So the 4 things which I have identified during this lockdown, when I was taking the cases for the people who are, who reached out, specifically because of the lockdown, they faced tremendous pressure. And as Natasha had said, the uneasiness part, the restlessness, the anxiety part, and the feeling of being doomed, like, the uncertainty part. So in behavioral, it's like the 4 things that I'll be talking about is sleep. The cycle is being changed. And then it will be about the diet, the food part, then going on to your time management and the relationships that we are into right now. So I hope you understand this well, that in behavioral changes, we are going to talk about these 4 things. There are more, but let's just stick to some structure so that we are able to, move on ahead constructively and positively. These, to my knowledge and my experience, are the foremost one. Wherein we are not talking about sleep deprivation. That is something else. But if there is a change in your sleep cycle, or if you're not able to sleep, like, you're tossing and turning, you're just lying and you're not able to catch up with that sleep part, then it's like you should really understand that this being a unique situation, it's actually absolutely okay if you're not sleeping. There is a lot of, rest part, sedentary thing in life that is happening right now. You are in your home, there is no physical activity right now. So if it's like you have to accept yourself that it's okay, you should be getting up some sleep. If it's like you should tell yourself, okay, if I am getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep, it's like a quality sleep, and still I'm getting that sleep. Since we are not actively doing anything, so we are at, unconsciously at rest also. And though our mind is working at a supersonic speed because of the news. Firstly, please stop watching news. That is like my take on it. If you really want to get up more stressed and more anxious, I think so. And this is one thing that you all should stop doing it. And the screen time before sleeping, like stay away from the mobile, from the monitor, or from the laptop. Everything you should shut it down prior 1 or 2 hours. The reason being, when we are looking at the screen, the light emanating from the screen, our brain thinks it's still daytime. And if you switch off this phone just before sleeping, it'll take 1 hour actually to unwind. And we'll be just tossing and turning on bed and thinking we have to sleep, and pressurizing ourselves consciously. So moving on to the next one is like, the food part. Now throughout the talk, my baseline will be food, because you will see in the end how everything in life is connected with food. Though it's like, very underrated thing, and we actually, don't pay more attention to it. The food takes a toll, and we may gain weight or lose weight. If we have observed ourselves during this lockdown time, we are binge eating or we are not eating at all. We've lost the taste. There can be medical issues, fine, but if it is not, then it is like you should follow a particular diet plan. You should eat small amounts, since again, there is no physical activity. Don't have lunch part 1, after 2 hours, lunch part 2. Heavy meals after every 2 or 3 hours, or only having it in the morning and the evening, and getting preoccupied in your work and not having anything in between. So don't have long gaps in between your meals. Take small proportion, number of times, and the thing you have to monitor is what you are eating. So it's very simple to say, but in the end, we'll find that we end up eating a lot of junk. So that should not be there. So in behavioral thing, if sleeping is an issue, then we should know quality matters. Right now, it's absolutely okay if the cycle has changed a bit. So be comfortable. Once you'll be back to your working schedule, you have to get up in the morning. So your body again will get acclimatized to that new situation. Coming to food, again, a diet plan has to be monitored by yourself. And how it is connected to other things, we'll come to know as and when we progress forward. Going on to your time management. Now, time management here, I mean, is that you actually dedicate some time to your family, wherein you're not holding your phone as for the work per se. So it should be managed properly. There should be no procrastination, pending work. Like tomorrow, if you have to submit, you'll be completing your work one day before. That should not be happening. How this is going to affect you and create anxiety, that you will come to know later. But then time management, be sure enough, it's about procrastination. It's about delaying your work. The quality is getting depleted in that. If your potential is this, you actually get satisfied by doing only this much, as long as the work is getting finished. And that's happening only towards the end of your time, whatever time is given to you. So time management is the third thing. The fourth thing is relationship. Now, relationship can be with your family members, with your colleagues, or with other extended family members, friends, or neighbors, whomsoever you are having an interaction with. So at home, you'll find, if during this lockdown time, there is a lot of, people are at the edge. They're snapping out at each other a lot. The power to actually listen is getting declined as the lockdown increased because of their own anxiety part. The mind is working somewhere else. Physically, they are present somewhere else. So to have a coordination between both, So the relationship is getting affected. We are not cordial again with our children. If you have teenagers, then it's like you have a really good reason then that you can say for getting stress also. The physical aspect along with the behavioral aspect that I have spoken about right now, the four things, they all will lead to stress. And once the stress is there and we are not doing anything about it, it will extend to anxiety. So if you find yourself anxious, you have to actually connect to these pointers in your own way, in your life, whether if this is working, if this is not, right? So coming to the next pillar, that is physical. The first one I have taken up, behavioral, wherein I've touched upon actually on sleep, on the food, the time management, and the relationship. So I hope this much is clear with all of you. And coming to physical aspect again, how we come to know that physically we are getting stressed out. We'll be having the headaches will increase. The intensity maybe at times will increase, or maybe you will have a lot of body aches, which were not there initially. So the tiredness, the fatigue in the body, the motivation to do things, that will be getting affected. This is a way you'll come to know that, okay, physically now this thing is weighing on me. Again, it will be related to food. I'll tell you the solution for all the physical things, and they all relate to every feature in the physical category. The solution part, it fits everything. Okay, so in physical, it's like the tiredness and fatigueness, and the second is acidity, or you'll be having a lot of heartburn, or you can have a bowel syndrome, constipation, but any of those physical aspects that you're having, it's like you'll feel bloated a lot. You'll feel there is this uneasiness in the chest, uneasiness in your stomach, or the breathing is getting affected and you're not able to breathe at times. You'll suddenly, maybe in sleep, or you'll just get up feeling very drained out. And those are the physical identifiers for yourself. So it means physically your body is taking the stress on to another level, to the next level. So acidity, then the previous one was, if anyone could just type, is the tired or being fatigued. Okay. The third is like you're feeling dizziness, even if you're having a healthy diet. During the work, you will just feel lost out. Maybe the reasons could be many, but majorly it could be whatever is happening around right now that is playing in your mind. And because of whatever visual inputs you have taken in for yourself by watching social media or YouTube or news, the so-called. So you have, actually given space to your mind to absorb all that. And now when you're not watching, it's playing in your mind. So that is the reason I would suggest you all to, get away from all that. It's not going to leave you at peace. You can't do anything about it physically. So why do you want to do it mentally for yourself? So don't give your precious time, your precious space to all these things. It's not worth the effort. You all are an amazing people, and you all are very brave, I would say, still working, and that's like hats off. It's commendable. Going to the solution part of the physical thing. The first thing is, if you are feeling the symptom of breathlessness, or the pain in the chest, or these physical symptoms, you should consult your doctor, your general physician, whomsoever you all consult to, your family doctor, consult them. And after that, it is like you should, if you had your blood test recently, am a very strong believer. I always recommend to my clients to have their vitamin D and B12 checked. Vitamin D is very, very important for our own well-being. And emotionally also, for your emotions, the mood swings, everything, your physical aspect, your behavior, everything is interconnected, and vitamin D plays a major role, a very big role. Please have your vitamin D checked. If it is low, follow a proper, the procedure that the doctor says, to have maybe injections if it's very low, to have it intravenously, and or the medicines they give to be taken in once a week for a period of 7 weeks. That is advised by the doctors. So whatever form you're taking, vitamin D is very important. And then is your breathing. Some of you may be, inclined towards yoga. Some of you may be inclined towards fitness part, and the rest have intentions to do it from the coming Monday. But it's like, you all should be focusing on your breathing. How again this will be related, and why is this important as a very important tool to just monitor if you are feeling anxious. So right now also, if you monitor your breathing for, I'll just give you a few seconds to see how you're breathing. If you're taking in oxygen and if you're breathing in, where does your stomach go? You can place your hand on your stomach and breathe out. See how it's going for you. Okay, so when you monitor yourself vis-a-vis breathing part, if you are breathing in, so your stomach should be going out. You should be breathing in, your stomach will go out. And if you have to breathe out, your stomach will go in. That is the correct way of breathing. Mostly I've seen, if you're feeling very anxious, immediately at the snap of a finger, like more quicker than you can snap your finger, monitor your breathing. You have to train your mind to monitor your breathing. Are you breathing correctly at this very moment? That is very important. So breathing is the other thing. After vitamin D, getting yourself checked with consulting your doctor, then is your exercise part. Okay, so as I said, some may be doing the exercise from Monday, that's coming. And every Monday is the next Monday. So let's just talk about what we can do today, right? And exercise, if you are not an exercise person, actually I am not an exercise person, but I do try to maintain it by, doing on the spot jogging. Like, if it should not be directly after eating, there should be a gap before and after eating. Just jog on the spot for 10 minutes. 10 minutes you jog, do that a number of times throughout the day. Skipping is the best thing to do. If you can do skipping, skip. If you can do squatting, do that. But do something rather than thinking about the next Monday. Just give 5-10 minutes for yourself. Number of times throughout the day, just do that. You have to start somewhere. If you respect and you honor yourself, then this is a starting point, and it will show that you do, because your children are watching you, your parents are watching you. They all want you to be healthy. You cannot right now, let's say, afford to fall sick. So keeping a very, that mind that you will exercise, don't pressurize yourself, because it will never work. It will be tomorrow. First thing in the morning, I'll jog for 10 minutes. No. What are you doing now? If you've not eaten, or if you're going to eat, just jog and delay your eating thing 10 minutes, 15 minutes later. But do that exercise part. After the breathing and exercise thing, you have to monitor then what are you eating, the food type. the quantity that you are eating, and at what time are you eating. These three things, again, going back to the baseline, these three things are very important. What you eat, when you eat, and the intervals, the time that you are eating. There should be not many gaps, because again, it will turn into acidity. The acids by default are produced in our body, and if the food is not there, the acids are still there in your system, and it will slowly and steadily, you will end up eating medicine. So why not eat food? That's a better thing to do. And then it is like you can have, you should, as even doctor said, to increase your fluid intake. We generally forget to drink water, the adequate amount of water. So it should be placed in your dining area, the visible area, maybe in a jug with a glass. And when you're having it, the water, ask others also at home whether they want water. Because then it's like a system. Somebody else slowly will start having water, they'll ask you. So it's a reminder for each of us at home that water is very important. And we tend to forget that part. So that ends with the second pillar. Now, physical and behavioral, these are the stress givers. If we are not conscious about it in our own life, because anxiety is always about your daily routines, how we are managing ourselves in a regular basis. It will not be in one go, like one day you will not just stand up and say, I'm anxious about something. No, it's how you have trained your mind to perceive things, and then you will get up and anxiety, Then going on to the third pillar is your emotional thing. Here I would just touch on the anger and irritation part, because again, it's a huge scope of discussion. With the constraint of time, the anger and irritation, how you come to know at home during this lockdown you have developed. It's like you will not be a very good listener. Even like if it's between husband and wife, children and husband, parents and yourself, whatever the relationship is, you will not be very patient. And you will say, no, there's so much of work to do. There's so much of pressure, the future, the present, that all is fine. But what are you doing for it right now? That is very important. So emotionally, you will just snap out on everybody again. Even like for example, if you are working and you are drained out, you're tired, you're fatigued out, and if somebody is having a good time, like for example, if it's your husband or your wife or your kids, they're just chilling, that can cause you irritation. It's like, the unconscious mind working then, and the comparison part starts. So you have to be really careful about your irritation. But again, the solutions are similar for all the aspects emotionally. If you are dealing with yourself, it's like very, very common. And I'll quickly go on to the mood swing part. Vitamin D is very important. If you are not taking your food properly, again, going to the baseline, you are depriving the nutrients in your body. If these are not, in adequate amount, then your mood will get affected. Vitamin D, mood swings, direct connection. So you have to calcium intake again. How it's happening is that can be set up in another session, or maybe you can contact me, then you can come to know about it. You will Google up definitely after the session maybe, so you can do that. You'll come to know how these things are very much connected to your own emotion and behavior, and going on to the mood swing part, the relationships getting affected, as it's very clear. If you are, sometimes you'll be happy on your own terms and conditions, sometimes no. It's like if the other person is happy, you may not relate it into the same level, into the same momentum as the other person, because of your own preoccupied nature. It's not that you are not a person to enjoy moments. You may be a person, but it's not there right now. So coming to now, I'm always focused on this moment and what you're doing today. So the solutions for all the emotional thing that you are feeling, It could be these two and anything else beyond the scope of this. First is again the baseline food. What are you having? If you're having a lot of carbohydrate form, again, it means you will end up getting irritated. It's like nothing doing. The carbohydrates gets burnt out very easily, and again your body is again deprived of nutrients which the body needs for you to work, function properly, to think properly, to sleep, to work out. Everything is then getting depleted. If the food, the baseline is not taken care of, the pillars are standing on those baseline. So it's like you can actually imagine a building of your own self with those pillars. This is the third pillar. So food again is very important. Then one very interesting thing is, if you're an angry person or if you get irritated, then it's like before having a conversation, please take a glass of water with you. You will be knowing now this is going to get irritated. I am going to answer back. I'm going to reply back. So if this is happening, please take water with you. Hold the glass with you. Sip water when you are listening. Fill your mouth, you will not be able to respond. That is like a big relief thing with you. It is actually workable, and I have had clients who were angry before, and this worked for them. You buy time for yourself because you don't want to get angry and you don't want to spoil the relationship. So if you are getting angry, have water with yourself in the vicinity or in your hand, literally a glass of water or a bottle. Monitor that. You will see a change in yourself with that. The second very most important thing is the tone that you are speaking. For example, if you recollect from your experiences, if your child answers back, maybe the content is okay. Or if you had been a child, your dad or your mom, she's just giving some instructions for you, even the content is fine, but the tone matters a lot because that reaches your auditory system first. So the tone is very important if you're interacting with people. And this is like 24/7 you are interacting. So the tone is like in bold letters for you to be monitored. The way you're replying back, you're answering, or the way you're communicating with your loved ones. In your office work also, with your colleagues also, the tone you respond to them is very important. Now this is like this area, because of the physical and the behavioral thing wherein food was mentioned, if that is not taken care of, the stress is already building in your body. You're not considering that it has percolated into your emotional aspect. So you will feel anxiety. Anxiety a little bit is normal. It's like your coping technique also. But then if you are not taking care of other factors, it's everything is like an octopus. It has its tentacles. So if any of the tentacle is not taken care of, then it means the octopus main body will get affected. So all these things are like tentacles. Everything that you are dealing, everyone is unique. Their life is unique, and they are doing amazing thing right now with their own life. It's fine to get angry, it's fine, but you should know how far is that fine thing. If it's affecting you personally and the others directly, then it may not be fine. Then you need to refine it and redefine yourself. That's the main thing that I would say. Coming to psychological thing. Nowadays, I have seen that the word depression or panic attack, phobias, anxiety, even stress are used very loosely. So as we have seen the stress giving thing, how it's going to, percolate or stretch out into anxiety part, those are very simple things in our life, but we overlook them to see the bigger picture. We don't like simple things actually nowadays. It's very difficult to talk simple. We try to complicate it, make it difficult, then try to find simple solutions for it. How can we do it? If you're Googling up, that's the best way to die. So don't Google up your symptoms. In the end, you'll find that, oh, I have all the symptoms that is, they're mentioned over there. Some may be true, fine, but then you have your doctors. If you are really feeling something, you can consult them. Psychologically, here it is all about your mind. Physically, it's now set up in your mind. If you see the connection, then you will be able to come to know, like get aware about it, that, okay, if I have not done this, if the procrastination is there. Now, how it is there? Because your physical self was not fit. You didn't eat properly at proper time. You're tired. The oxygen level going down. Your energy is down. Procrastination sets in. And the distractions are there. Wonderful. Now it's like your mind playing games. It's like an amazing situation. You all are leading them to yourself. And for yourself, it's like you'll have negative thoughts. The intensity of negative thoughts will increase. You'll start, some people actually have self-talks. The mind is talking to them, in a situation if it's happening, and then you start interpreting situation from your end. This will happen, this will happen. Why did I not do this? Why this thing happening to me only? If anything has happened, everything is destined, as we know. But how we are going to deal is again a different thing. For example, in your work setup, if a work is given to you, now suppose a colleague A is doing the same work, the same topic is given to 2-3 people, the presentation will be different because of the personalities. How they are going to perceive the topics will be different. How they are going to interpret and recreate the topic into their presentation, it will be different. So life, the word is same for all. How we are going to perceive and live is very different. It's a beautiful life. It's like worth living every moment. The negative thoughts, when it is increasing and you're having self-doubts about the future part, what is going to happen? Why it is this happening? Till when this will happen? Wow, so many questions in your mind that is coming up. And since we are humans, they will come up. The rest is courtesy all to the news channels. And because they will be feeding the mind with all the doubts that they can create in anyone's mind. Remember, they are not going to come and live your life. You are not going to earn. They are not going to earn for you and give it to you. You are doing your job. You are earning from your perspective, from your way, in your house. You have those family members at home. So you have to remember that these people, these things which are giving you anxiety or disturb you or put you in another set of thinking, then it's important not to just block it up. Bring yourself absolutely at that time that they are not going to come and earn for you. Tomorrow you only have to finish this task. And you are actually giving a platter of your time to them on golden plate. Like, don't do that. You are all very important people and you are doing amazing thing. You will leave a legacy behind you. Your kids will look up to you, how you are handling the situation. The young ones who are there in the job thing, you are the torch bearers again. How you are going to go ahead with the difficult situation. It's like you are tested right now. Come up with grace. It's like amazing. You don't have to compare yourself with the past. Okay, I used to do this. This was it. Parents are very good at that when they are dealing with their kids. In my time, what I did. Oh, they are amazing in, slandering the kids. But it's like they want to share their experience. Again, this tone, the moment they are saying that is not right. If you really want to share your story, sit down with them. Have some conversation. The sharing part should be there. Not when the child has done all the work, according to them, and they are just sitting and chilling, you come with this notion. And then you get stressed, they get stressed, end up stressed. So it's like, tying the family with those extra knots, that's not needed. There
Thank
should
you
be help.
so much.
So that is like, the 4 pillars, and everything comes to the food monitoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. Hina, thank you so much. What a wealth of information, really. And we are so grateful that you accepted our invitation to come to this webinar. I mean, I can read out some of the comments. Sandhya says, very insightful information, advice. Thank you so much. Aparna says, vitamin D and B12 can do wonders. Thanks for the reminder. Upinder says, wonderful start to the day, listening to Dr. Beg, Dr. Iris, and excellently moderated by Anita. Thank you, Upinder.
Yeah.
Beautifully explained, Dr. Beg, says Tanmay. Hema says, well said. So we've got so many comments. Thank you very much, Hina.
I'm honored for listening out, actually being awake.
Sorry?
To listen me out, and to be awake.
Yeah, I know. Amazing. Thank you both to both our guests, Dr. Iris Cardoz and Hina Beg. Thank you very much for coming here and giving us this extreme wealth of information. And I hope this has pepped us up a little to all at MMI. Thank you very much. Thanks, Tanmay. Thanks, Joylin. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you. Thanks.
I'll just quickly, there is a question.
Yes. Let me see if there are questions. Sorry. Yeah. How do you deal with nightmares?
Yeah, okay. First, you do the other things. Are you having proper, food, the diet part? Because in this span of time, it's not possible to address that. But try to fix up the other ends, get that solidified and in working condition for more than 2 weeks, because some nightmares are like subconscious again. It can relate to future or the past. So to address it cordially will be more effective. Going on to the irritation and anxiety part, again, it's like, having the right diet. And the other solution, what are the other solutions they're asking? The other solution will be, first is the diet part. Please monitor your diet, because again, acidity and all will result into you being anxious, and irritated again. If you've not immediately, if you are irritated or anxious, just scan your diet, what you've had that day and 2 days prior. What is your diet pattern? That is very important. Once you fix that, you will come to know there is a relation as to how you are eating, what you are eating, and how it's making you react to situations.
Thank you. Thank you. There's one last question. How can we control irritation and anxiety issues? One of them being right diet. What are the other solutions?
That's what I've just mentioned. See, again, it's different from person to person. What is causing them anxiety? If in general you are, it's like it has to be said, first thing is your diet part. Monitor that. If you're having the right diet, it's not for the namesake. Are you really having the right diet? Try to implement on yourself. You can always get in touch. Anita will help you out. Yeah.
So I just wanted to tell everybody at MMI that if you want to get in touch personally with Dr. Beg, you can do so. She has very kindly agreed to give the first 5 people who get in touch with her a small discount. So you can get in touch with her personally. She has left her email ID and she'll leave her email ID and a number with us, and we can share that with you if you want to get in touch with her personally. As I end this session, we are really out of time, so we need to end. So thank you very much, all of you, panel, everybody in the panel, Mohsin, who has organized this, Manali, Natasha, Rovina, who shared their experiences with us, Dr. Iris, Dr. Hina Beg, And everybody at MMI, thank you very much. And we'll see you again at the next webinar, maybe on Friday. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.